Hey friends! My day started with thunderstorms, so I thought this would be a really good time to mix up some of my favorite grays. And the first one that I'm going to mix uses indanthrone blue and quinacridone burnt sienna. This is a combination I love so much that not only do I have both colors on my palette individually, but I also have a custom mix of these two colors. Indanthrone blue is a beautiful, deep, transparent blue that reaches some incredibly dark values. And quinacridone sienna is one of my favorite colors of all time. It's a very burnt but still luminous orange. These colors are almost precisely opposite each other on the color wheel, which of course is what's necessary in order to achieve a good neutral gray. And out of the three grays that I'm going to mix today, this is the one that can achieve the darkest values. It can even be pushed into browns and indigos depending on the proportions of sienna versus indanthrone blue. And in a balanced neutral mix, I consider it a substitute for Payne's gray. It doesn't quite get dark enough to serve as black, but it does really well for any kind of shadow or for dark metal, or even as asphalt. It's a very versatile mix, and it's easy to incorporate the component colors elsewhere in the painting so that the finished piece looks very harmonious. Next are two traditional palette staples and possibly one of the most popular mixed grays out there. So popular, in fact, that Daniel Smith has even started selling a convenience mix that's a combination of the pigments PBR7 and PB29, or as we know them, burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. And that combined paint is called Jane's Gray, and I really like Jane's Gray, but I prefer to mix these two on their own so that I can get some interesting separation effects on the paper. My mixes of this gray always come out looking a little bit violet, which I enjoy very much, and it's definitely in the middle of the value scale. It also features granulation a lot more heavily than the mostly transparent combination of indanthrone blue and quinacridone sienna. The easiest way to get the separation and granulation effects between these two pigments is to drop them wet into wet. I also really enjoy mixing these two directly on the page because when there's a little bit of the pure color left out, it gives them both a chance to shine. My lightest valued and most unique gray out of this bunch is made up of a blue violet and a natural sienna, and those are Smalt by Windsor Newton, which is an ultramarine violet, and Monte Amiata Natural Sienna. Both of these are wonderful, light, clean colors. Smalt is a very light blue violet, and Monte Amiata Natural Sienna is almost a mustard yellow. I actually enjoy it more as an earth yellow than I do yellow ochre. It feels a little cleaner and more pure. When you combine these two, you get an almost porcelain pale gray. It granulates, and it's just right for the shadows underneath some white fluffy clouds during daylight. It is basically impossible to get any deep dark tones and dark values out of this gray. A little less versatile and more of a novelty than our first two grays, but I still absolutely love this color, and I love working with it wet in wet to get that separation, to get the different tones that you can achieve with these two colors. I just think it's an absolutely beautiful combination, and I had to share it with you. On the color theory side of things, my first two combinations featured slightly warm blues with ruddy earth oranges. In this combination, my orange is a yellow instead, but I've moved around the color wheel accordingly and used a violet to keep some amount of red in the mix so the gray stays neutral. If this kind of geekery interests you, please check out Dr. Oto Kano's series on color theory for watercolor. Of course, there are dozens of different gray paints available for purchase, and I have had Payne's Gray and Holbein's Gray of Gray in my palette in the past, but I found that I love to mix my own in order to match the character of my painting. I can make it cooler, I can make it warmer, I can make it browner, I can make it bluer. And like I said before, when I use individual colors that are already in my palette and that already may be elsewhere in the painting, it keeps the entire piece very harmonious. If you have a favorite combination of colors you use to make gray, I hope you'll leave me a comment and tell me all about it, and let me know if you plan to try any of these combinations. Thanks so much for watching.